Right, before I start, I want to say thank you so much. So great, such great events and interesting talk, very captivating. I have learned a lot of new things about this neuroscience. And I'm even more excited to present our work. And by us, I mean Ryan, founder of Infinite Album, a company that builds AI-based music creation system for the streamers, and myself. And our work is titled Building Style-Aware Neural MIDI Synthesizers using Simplified Differentiable DSP approach. So this was one of the projects we did at Infinite Album recently, and for this one, we decided that our results are reasonably useful to be shared with the wider community, and that's why I present this short report about what we have come up with and what our results were. So without any further ado, let me just jump in and let's start with the goal. So what did we have in mind when we started? So we wanted to go in as simple as possible, simple as a keyword, because we want to build simple and quick. Then we wanted to create a model that can learn the sound of a real instrument. We wanted to be MIDI-controllable, and we have something performance related in mind. So we wanted to be potentially workable on the client side, on the machine without a GPU. So this was an important point here. And we wanted to be able to capture the style of playing. So every instrument can be played in different ways. And this is what we wanted our model to be able to learn. And well, importantly, we wanted not only a model, but also we wanted to develop the entire workflow from the beginning till the end of building a model based on the sound of a real instrument. And incidentally, well, as just Sophie mentioned in her talk, we also, well, turned to electric guitar as our first, experimentation subject. And we tried our model on an electric guitar. I just remind you what the title is, the Simplified Differentiable DSP approach. So this why the DSP? Obviously, well, nowadays, if you want to build something efficient, and something related to a tonal sound, DDSP is a way to go, obviously. So not surprisingly, we chose that way. And let's see what this simplification and our, well, a bit of extensions we have made, what they are. This will be covered by the next slide, but before that, I'd like to say a few words about the existing research. We have, well, this area, building, well, DDSP controlled by MIDI, is quite extensively studied nowadays. And these are just 3 of the papers. And well, I tried to summarize what the main focus of this existing research is. And I would say that the authors are mostly concerned in building more and more sophisticated ways to prepare the input signals for the DDSP decoder. However, in our case, we wanted to go really simple. In fact, as I will show you on the next slide, we have gotten rid of the encoder entirely. We are feeding the raw features entirely into the DDSP decoder. And we were questioning how far and how realistic we can go with this very simple approach, simple and efficient. So, and let me just go to the model slide. So this is the model, and all of you will immediately recognize, well, the basic DDSP architecture. These white blocks are representing the parts of the model from the vanilla DDSP, and these bluish components are something that we kind of added. So as we can see, we don't have any trainable components on the encoder part. Essentially, there is no encoder at all. Instead, we are just feeding the raw features right into the trainable part of the decoder. And in addition to, well, conventional loudness and bass frequency inputs, we added 2 time codes, distance from onset and distance to offset. This is our timing information that we hope that will help our model to capture certain things. And also we added additional ones which correspond to those style aspects of the playing. Like this continuous controller number 55, we chose to represent the openness. And what openness is, I will tell you in a while. And we well left a room to add more and more potential ways to control the model by adding more features. So as you can see, we just stripped out the entire.
طيب لكن وين كانت؟
Sorry.
طيب لكن. طيب.
Sorry. Well, was it the question or something? All right. Well, let me continue then. So this is the model, and we also, as I mentioned, we also wanted to build a workflow, and try out the workflow and end-to-end, working procedure with respect to our project. And the next slide is about the dataset that we have created. So, well, we did it ourselves. We have built a dataset of an electric guitar playing this. Well, you will immediately know what it is just by looking at this MIDI annotation. These are just chromatic scales played on the guitar. Actually, you can see a photo of the real guitar we use for our recordings. And these grayish blocks underneath represent the value of CC2055, the openness thing. And so what openness is, I want you just to demonstrate. So this is the guitar we used. And there is a style of playing when you can perform a palm muting. So when you apply your palm to the strings and you make the sound less bright, right? So this is a closed sound with openness equaling to 0. And this is the open one, so it's fully open sound, it's brighter. And this was well, the aspect of the sound that we wanted to capture. And for that, when we were doing this manual annotation, we just put these changes in the controller value to 0 or 127. All right, so this was our data set, and this was our model. And so we were wondering if, well, this simplistic approach will yield anything useful, if it would yield anything useful. And we have a couple of reconstruction examples. There are a bit more in our online supplement page. And I hope that my sound is streaming. Let me try that. So these two notes that I'm about to play are just reconstructions based on this MIDI information, just one MIDI note playing, another one. The first one is without openness at 0, and the other one is at openness to 127. Let's see, let's hear. All right, I hope you heard it, guys. So,
I don't think we hear the sound, so maybe share again with the sound.
Well, I'm not sure actually.
Do you have a website you could point us to?
Yeah. The links are at the end of the presentation. Okay. Just I have restarted my sharing. Let's see if you can hear it now. Yeah. All right, you heard that. Cool, great. Thank you. So what we were really glad to see that even without any kind of pitch detection or loudness transformation, high frequency loudness transformation, we see that the model is able to capture these fine looking envelopes. So it does, well, at least visually, it looks like real notes played on a guitar. And we can obviously hear the difference in sound. So we obviously see that the open ones sound noticeably brighter. Let's hear it once again. Well, there are some weird artifacts, and we're not quite happy with the transients. So we wanted to capture the transients as well. But, well, the transients, the picking sound is not sharp enough. So it's a bit blurred out, and we're not quite sure why that happens. One of the theories is that we have used this algorithmic augmentation, and we used Libro's algorithm. So we, on top of this data, we generated its version up to 3 semitones up and down. And well, this pitch shifting, I think it distorts kind of the transients. And by that, we explain this maybe not fully accurate representation of transients in reconstructions. So there is another example here. So these are notes played without openness at 0, and they differ only in their lengths. Well, we can see that they definitely sound different. So we do see that the model has learned something. And well, it looks like even with such a simple approach as we use, we're able to build something that sounds somewhat similar to a real instrument. And with that, I think I'm ready to jump into the conclusion and some directions for future work. So we definitely see that the model does learn something. So this is a good thing. It learns the style on our example. As for the future, we tried actually to make the model learn the how to, well, if we consider playing a chord with a note as its base, we can say that playing a chord is also kind of a, well, style of playing. So we tried, well, actually I can just jump back to the dataset. We have this region here and it's called power chords. So instead of playing one note like this, we played power chords based on this note. And well, that didn't work quite well. Actually, we had to add another oscillator for the DDSP decoder in the middle from the bass frequency and, well, it's upper one in the middle to be able to capture exactly this sound in the middle of, well, half the octave up to the bass frequency. However, the problem we face is that everything has started sounding like a power chord, even if it shouldn't. So this thing, well, we're not sure how to proceed. Maybe the reason is that the spectral loss, at least on its default settings, is not fine-grained enough to capture the difference of, well, a single note and the power chord. And we obviously want to try to other aspects of the style, like vibrato or something else. And well, there are other instruments to explore. And well, this is the end of my short report about our results. And at the end, I just want to say thank you again. Such a great event. We have had a very satisfying hackathon and workshop. So I'm so glad. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me by this email. And a couple of links here. We have a repo with this model and the training and evaluation pipelines here in this repo. The data set that I have shown is freely available, so you can just check and use it if you want. And there is an online supplement with these examples and a bit of more information about this research. And with that, I think I'm done talking. Thank you very much.